Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, you keep attracting the same negative situations into your life? Relationships that drain you, jobs that exhaust you, friendships that don't value you. It's not a coincidence. And no, it's not because you're doing something wrong. According to Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant psychologists of all time, it has everything to do with your inner child and the wounds that still haven't healed. Think for a moment, when was the last time you truly stopped to listen to what that child inside of you needs? Not what others expect, not what society demands, but what you, in the deepest part of your being, truly long for. Jung discovered something revolutionary. When you make peace with your inner child, when you finally choose yourself above all else, something magical begins to happen. The outer world starts to reflect that inner peace, and you begin to attract only the positive. It's as if the universe responds to your new energy, removing what no longer serves you and bringing exactly what you need to grow. But this journey is not easy. It requires courage. It demands that you look within, face your shadows, and dare to be authentic in a world that constantly pushes you to wear masks. The modern world is designed to keep you distracted, busy, always chasing something. There's always a notification to check, a goal to reach, an expectation to meet. Amid all that noise, when was the last time you asked yourself if you're truly living the life you want? Jung warned us about this danger. He taught that when we ignore our deepest needs, when we disconnect from our inner self, we create an imbalance that inevitably manifests in our external lives. Every time you choose to please others instead of yourself, every time you ignore that inner voice telling you something isn't right, you're sending a message to your unconscious, I'm not important enough. And your unconscious listens. It listens and responds, attracting situations and people that confirm that limiting belief. Jung spoke of the unconscious as a deep ocean, vast, full of treasures, but also dangers. It's not something we can ignore without consequences. It is an essential part of who we are. And when we learn to navigate its waters, when we establish a healthy relationship with it, we discover a transformative power. Think about the decisions you've made recently. How many of them came from your inner truth? And how many were driven by fear, guilt, or the need for approval? Jung invites us to reflect on this because he knew that decisions not rooted in our essence create more chaos in our lives. When your inner child is wounded, when you're carrying unresolved emotional burdens, it's as if you emit a frequency of pain into the universe. And the universe, like a perfect mirror, sends back experiences that resonate with that frequency. That's why sometimes, even after changing jobs, partners, or even cities, the same patterns keep appearing because the root of the problem isn't out there. It's within. Making peace with your inner child doesn't mean going back and changing the past. That's impossible. What you can do is recognize how those early experiences shaped your beliefs, your fears, and your expectations. You can give that child what they needed back then: understanding, acceptance, unconditional love. Jung referred to this process as individuation, the path to becoming who you truly are. By integrating all your parts, even the ones you've rejected or ignored, it's a journey of self-discovery that leads from fragmentation to wholeness, from confusion to clarity. The first step on this path is to recognize your shadows. Jung defined the shadow as those parts of ourselves that we repress, deny, or fear. They are aspects we consider unacceptable and therefore push into the unconscious. But here's the paradox. The more we reject these parts, the more power they have over us. Imagine you grew up in an environment where showing vulnerability was seen as weakness. As a result, you learned to hide your emotions, to be strong at all costs. That vulnerable part of you, that child who needed to be comforted, becomes your shadow. And even though you believe you've eliminated it, it's still there, influencing your relationships, sabotaging your deepest connections without you even realizing it. To make peace with your inner child, you must first recognize and accept all of your parts, even the ones that make you uncomfortable. It's not about acting on those parts, but about integrating them, understanding that they are part of your humanity, When you do that, something remarkable happens. Those shadows lose their negative power. They no longer need to manifest in destructive ways because you've given them a safe space within yourself. Jung firmly believed that this process of integration is essential for our psychological and spiritual health. Without it, we are doomed to project our shadows onto others, seeing in them what we don't want to see in ourselves. Have you ever wondered why certain people irritate you so much without any clear reason? According to Jung, those people are reflecting aspects of yourself that you've rejected. When you make peace with your inner child, when you integrate your shadows, those projections begin to fade. You no longer need to see your own fears and weaknesses in others because you've accepted them as part of yourself. This completely transforms your relationships. Suddenly, you can see people as they truly are, not as distortions of your own unconscious. It's then that you begin to attract healthier, more authentic relationships because you're no longer operating from your wound, but from your wholeness. You're no longer seeking others to fill your emotional voids because you've learned to nourish yourself. This is the true alchemy Jung taught us, to transform our wounds into wisdom, our pain into power. The process of making peace with your inner child also involves listening to your intuition. Jung considered intuition a vital psychological function, a form of perception that connects us to the collective unconscious. It's that quiet voice we often ignore in favor of logic or social expectations. Your inner child communicates with you through intuition, through those gut feelings that tell you when something is right or wrong for you. Learning to listen to and trust that voice is an essential part of the path to authenticity. Because when you trust your intuition, you are trusting your deepest wisdom, that part of you that knows, even when your conscious mind doubts. But this process doesn't happen overnight. It's a path, not a destination. There will be moments when you slip back, when old patterns try to return. That's normal. Jung reminds us that transformation is not linear. Sometimes we need to revisit certain lessons until we fully integrate them. The important thing is to stay committed to your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's lonely, because real growth happens outside your comfort zone. And every time you choose authenticity over external approval, you are strengthening that connection with your inner being. One of the greatest resistances you'll face on this path will come from those who were used to your old ways of being. When you begin to set healthy boundaries, when you stop pleasing others at your own expense, some people will inevitably feel threatened. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because your change forces them to confront their own shadows. Jung teaches us that this is part of the process. Not everyone will be ready to walk with you on your journey to authenticity. And that's okay, because as you align with your truth, you'll also attract people who resonate with that frequency. People who don't need you to shrink so they can feel comfortable, who celebrate your growth instead of fearing it. When you finally choose yourself, when you honor your deepest needs and desires, something extraordinary occurs. Something Jung described as synchronicity. The outer world begins to arrange itself in ways that support your path. You find the perfect book at the perfect moment. You meet someone who has exactly the wisdom you needed. Opportunities arise that seem designed just for you. This isn't magic or coincidence. It's the result of a profound alignment between your inner and outer worlds. When your internal energy is in harmony, when you're no longer divided against yourself, the universe responds. It's as if suddenly everything conspires in your favor. But the most powerful part of this process is how it transforms your relationship with yourself. That critical voice that used to torment you begins to soften. Those impossible standards you used to impose on yourself become more realistic. You start to treat yourself with the same compassion and patience you would offer a child learning to walk. And it is in this space of self-acceptance that your true potential begins to bloom. Because when you no longer spend energy fighting against yourself, when you stop sabotaging yourself, you have more resources available to create, to connect, to serve. Your creativity unlocks, your intuition sharpens, your capacity to love expands. Jung believed that each of us has a unique purpose, a special contribution to offer the world. He called this our personal myth. But in order to discover it, we must first reconcile with all of our parts, especially with our wounded inner child. Because it is in that reconciliation that we find our wholeness, our authentic strength. Think about the people you admire most. They are not perfect. They are not free of shadows or weaknesses. What makes them special is their ability to integrate all of their parts, to be authentic despite fear, to remain true to their essence, even when it would be easier to conform. That is what Jung invites us to be, fully human, fully authentic, fully alive. But how can you begin this journey toward peace with your inner child? How can you begin to attract only the positive? First, give yourself permission to listen to yourself. Every time you feel discomfort, resistance, or even a strong emotion, pause, breathe, and ask, what is my inner child trying to tell me? What do I truly need in this moment? Second, establish a conscious dialogue with that part of you. You can write letters, meditate, or simply speak inwardly. Ask your inner child what they need, what they fear, what they dream of. And then, most importantly, listen without judgment, without rejection, just being present and receptive. Third, practice self-compassion. When you make mistakes, when you catch yourself falling back into old patterns, remember to treat yourself the way you would treat a child who is learning something new, with patience, with kindness, with understanding. Jung reminds us that the path to wholeness is not free of stumbles. What matters is not perfection, but commitment to the process. Fourth, observe your relationships as mirrors. According to Jung, the people in our lives reflect aspects of our unconscious. When someone deeply irritates you, ask yourself, what part of me is being activated? What is this person showing me about myself? This kind of introspection can reveal shadows that still need to be integrated. Fifth, honor your boundaries. Your inner child needs to know that you will protect them, that you will not allow others to hurt them again. Setting healthy boundaries is a powerful way to show that they are now safe, that you, as the adult, are in charge. When you begin to implement these practices, something changes in your energy. You no longer operate from lack or fear, but from wholeness. You no longer seek others to complete you, because you've found that completeness within. And it is from this place of inner fullness that you begin to attract relationships, situations, and opportunities that reflect your new inner state. Jung described this phenomenon as a kind of psychic magnetism, like attracts like. When your energy field is dominated by peace, authenticity, and self-love, you naturally attract experiences that resonate with those same qualities. Not because you are manipulating the external world, but because the external world is a reflection of the internal one. True transformation happens when you stop trying to change others or circumstances and begin to work on yourself. As Jung said, know yourself and you will know the world and the gods. This self-knowledge is not theoretical or academic, it is experiential. It arises when you allow yourself to feel, when you explore your reactions, when you ask why certain situations affect you so deeply. It is a process of continuous discovery, a lifelong adventure. And as you move forward on this path, something beautiful happens. You begin to experience what Jung called the union of opposites, the polarities that once divided you. Strength and vulnerability, reason and emotion, light and shadow begin to integrate. They are no longer conflicting forces, but complementary aspects of your wholeness. It is in this integration that you find your true power. A power that does not dominate or control, but that flows. A power that does not need to prove itself or impose itself, because it is secure in its being. It is the power of being authentically you, with no apologies, no justifications. And you know what's most surprising? This power has a magnetic effect. People can feel when someone is standing in their truth, when they are no longer playing ego games, and they are naturally drawn to that authenticity, because in a world of masks and pretenses, truth is refreshing. It is inspiring. When you make peace with your inner child, when you choose yourself, you not only transform your life, you become a catalyst for others, without effort, without intention, simply by being who you are. you inspire those around you to do the same. This is what Jung called the contagious effect of individuation. Just imagine what your life would be like if you could let go of all external expectations, all the shoulds imposed on you. Imagine waking up each morning feeling at peace with yourself, knowing your decisions come from your truth, not from fear or the need for approval. Imagine relationships based on mutual authenticity, where you don't need to pretend to be someone you're not, where you can show up fully and be accepted just as you are. Imagine a job that not only pays your bills, but also allows you to express your unique gifts, to contribute in a meaningful way. All of this becomes possible when you make peace with your inner child. Not because all problems magically disappear, but because you fundamentally change your relationship with them. Challenges become opportunities for growth. Conflicts turn into invitations to deepen your self-knowledge. Even losses take on a new meaning, revealing themselves as gateways to new possibilities. Jung taught us that life is not about avoiding suffering, but about finding meaning within it. And when your inner child is at peace, when you've integrated your shadows and chosen yourself, you find that meaning. Every experience, whether pleasurable or painful, becomes part of your story of transformation, a further step on your path to wholeness. This inner peace is not a passive or static state. It is dynamic. It is alive. It is a balance that is constantly recalibrated as you continue to grow and evolve. At times, you will lose it momentarily, and that too is part of the process. What matters is that now you have the tools to return to it, to remember who you truly are beneath all the noise. And each time you return to this peace, each time you reconnect with your essence, your energetic field expands. You become more magnetic, more attractive to experiences that resonate with your new vibration. It's as if the universe says, I see you're ready for more. Here it is. A peaceful inner child is a portal to an extraordinary life, not because it's perfect or challenge-free, but because it is authentic, meaningful, aligned with your deepest truth. It's a life where you are no longer divided against yourself, where your outer actions reflect your inner values. In Jung's words, it is an individuated life, a unique expression of your potential. But perhaps the most beautiful part of all is how this personal transformation extends far beyond you. In a world where so many are disconnected from themselves, where suffering often stems from this disconnection, your journey toward authenticity has a ripple effect. Each time you choose your truth, each time you honor your inner child, you are contributing to collective healing. Jung had a profound vision about this. He believed that individual transformation is the only path to genuine social transformation, that we cannot create a more conscious, compassionate, and authentic world if we don't begin with ourselves. Your inner work is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of service to the whole. So I invite you to begin this journey, or to go deeper if you're already on it. I invite you to make peace with your inner child, to integrate your shadows, to choose yourself again and again. I invite you to discover what happens when you finally allow yourself to be who you truly are, without filters, without masks, without excuses. Because when your inner child is at peace, when you finally choose yourself above all else, you don't just attract the positive, you become a positive force. And the world desperately needs more people who dare to be that force. What part of this message resonated most deeply with you? What aspects of your inner child need more attention and love? Share your reflections in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if this message touched you, if you feel it could help someone else, share it. Help me expand this conversation to bring Jung's teachings to those who need them. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more content like this. Together, we can create a community of people committed to their truth, inspiring each other on the path to authenticity. Remember, your inner child is not a weakness you need to overcome. It is a sacred part of you that longs to be heard, honored, and loved. And when you finally give it what it needs, when you find that inner peace, your entire world changes. Not because the outside magically transforms, but because you've fundamentally changed the way you perceive and relate to it. In Jung's own words, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. It's time to awaken. It's time to make peace with your inner child. It's time to attract only the positive into your life. By being the person you were always meant to be. Thank you for being here, for listening, for daring to look within. Your presence in this community is a gift, and your journey toward authenticity inspires more people than you realize. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the depths of the human psyche and discovering together the path to a more conscious, fuller, truer life. Remember, with your inner child at peace, you attract only the positive. And that's not just a promise, it's a universal law that Carl Jung uncovered. And that now belongs to you. See you soon.